Hello there. Okay, so we are doing our estate planning checklist, making sure that your plan actually covers all these things. This is part 7, I believe. We're on trusts. This is the third part of the trust, so let's get to it. Okay, does your trust address all of these aspects? Does your trust have any provision that addresses how a survivor's trust or qualified designated beneficiary for tax deferred retirement accounts is going to be dealt with? Meaning, if you have retirement accounts, does it say how your trust is going to deal with retirement account beneficiaries? Really important. I'm not going to go into the details of this. It's just something that you need to discuss with an estate planning attorney. This is not something that you should be doing on your own, but it should definitely be dealt with. Most people have retirement accounts. Most people don't understand the impact it can have on having a wrong kind of statement in the trust and how that can affect the beneficiaries of those retirement fund proceeds. Okay, does your trust have any discussion about powers of appointment, right? Powers of appointment. This is the ability of somebody to say, hey, I got this gift, or I'm receiving this gift, but I'd like to give it to somebody else. That's a little nutshell version of it. Okay, remarriage. Does your trust deal with remarriage provision? If you are married and you pass away and you leave things behind, do you want your spouse to be able to leave everything to their future spouse and potentially disinherit your children? Really, really important. If you come from a blended family, you need to make sure that there are provisions dealing with this. Now, the specifics you need to address with your attorneys. Common pot, right? Okay, does your trust agreement leave everything in one giant pot to kind of be split out to your beneficiaries? What if there's minors involved? What if there's people with special needs involved, right? Are these things being missed out on because you're leaving everything in a giant common pot, a pool? Flexibility. Does your trust have the ability to treat beneficiaries differently based upon their needs? Is it flexible? Does it address that? Because, if you have kids, you know this. Every kid is different. Every kid has different needs. There is the child that is the utmost, super highly responsible child, etc., etc. There is the child who has gotten into the wrong crowd, listens to the wrong people, right? And you want to plan accordingly. Are there inheritance provisions? Protection provisions. Okay, so this is essentially like lifetime protection. Do you have lifetime protection for your heirs? Do you want them to have lifetime protection? Meaning, do you want the assets to be held into the trust? And is this being talked about and discussed in your trust provision, right? Protecting them from potential bankruptcy taking away what they've inherited, or divorce, or lawsuits, other creditors, right? Is this something that's addressed in your trust agreement? Are there special needs trust provisions? Are there provisions that are going to take care of people that have special needs? And if so, are those provisions truly drafted in a way that's not going to make them lose their benefits and access to government care, and having your assets that you left for them be counted improperly against them? Really important there. Okay, is there a distribution provision in the event that, hey, the people that you wanted to leave things to predecease you? How is it dealt with if they predecease you? What other people would you like to potentially receive your assets? How? In what degree? This needs to be addressed, and this is generally called like a remote contingent distribution. Just think of it as the, oh God, what if there's a family catastrophe and the people that are designated predecease me? And then, is there protection for retirement account distributions, particularly IRA distributions, right? Does it work in a way that they can get the maximum tax deferred growth and maybe the minimum tax impact? Is there something discussing this in your trust agreement? And the last one that I'm going to talk about today, Q-tip provisions. If you are at a level where the federal estate tax is going to impact you, are there provisions to make sure that you can get as much of a reduction in estate tax liability by working in with other trusts that bring in your spouse being the recipient of some of that money? So, important to talk about. If you don't have these provisions in your trust, you don't have a full plan.